Okay, let's go.
Okay, thank you. Good day, everyone. So please welcome Mubarak team with me, Samudra, Olzas, Akli, Ahmad, Ilham, and Abdullah. We'll present you the directing and managing risk on proactively handling uncertainties. On today's topic, we will encourage you to imagine on what extent that the uncertainties will be realized. Later, we will review it through the study cases that related to the project's uncertainties, beginning with directing and managing risk explanation by authors.
Thank you, Sam. Let's begin with how we define risk in project management. According to the PMI, risk is uncertain event or condition that, if it occurs, has positive or negative on one or more project objectives such as scope, schedule, quality, and cost. Meanwhile, the Victorian Department of Treasury and Finance makes an important distinction. Risk involves measurable variability, whereas uncertainty refers to unmeasurable unknown outcomes. Also, PMI highlights the importance of proactive risk management. That means identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks before they happen. To ensure consistency, organizations rely on different leading standards and frameworks like ISO 31300, PMBOK and PRINCE2, COSO RM, UK Green Book, and so on. So now let's move to risk management lifecycle, which includes 5 main phases. First, identification. We begin by detecting potential risk early. Common techniques include brainstorming, SWOT, PESTLE, risk breakdown structure, interviews, Delphi, Fishbone, Low-Tie, and FMEA, which means failure modes and effect analysis. After we identify our risks, we should understand their impact, and we use qualitative and quantitative tools like Monte Carlo simulations, expected monetary value, and integrated cost and schedule risk analysis, which give deeper numerical insight. After we identify and analyze our risks, we should evaluate and prioritize them using risk scoring, heat maps, risk categorization, and so on. After that, the fourth step is response planning. This involves deciding what to do about the risks. We make contingency plans, risk registers, contracts, stage gate reviews, pilots, scenario analysis, different trainings. After we respond to our risks, we should monitor and review. Because risks are not statistic, and ongoing tracking is very vital. So we use risk audits, KPIs, rolling wave planning, regular updates to register and reassessment of triggers. Also, we classify risk by source and categories, like internal, external, and stakeholder-driven. According to the standard models, we also group risks by into K categories, such as strategic and governance risk, technical and operational risks, schedule, cost, and reputational risks, and cybersecurity, legal, and environmental risks. Risk is more than just uncertainty, it's measurable and manageable. So, by integrating these tools and frameworks, companies like SpaceX are better positioned to manage strategic, technical, financial, and reputational risks in volatile environment. After this, we will deep dive into the case study to apply these theories.
Yeah, we will discuss an industry that encountered unlimited uncertainties, and there is no other good example industry provided for that example except in space. So we provide to you SpaceX, focusing on the Falcon 9 project, which inventing the first orbital class rocket capable of V-flight. SpaceX faces uncertainty head-on to build a reusable future and lead the next era of space technology. They concern on the reusability of the rocket as their sources of material and engineering. and advancing through the years of the core technologies, ensure mission safety, support future deep space missions, and maintain global competitiveness. Nevertheless, this effort encounter limitless risks both on Earth and outer space, such as technical faulty when launching the rockets and civil penalties engaging with Federal Aviation Administration, alleged to safety requirements and penalties, not to mention the outer space risks such as loss of the logistic and material in space and extraterrestrial threat. Classifying these sources next and categories to strengthen SpaceX risk response and resilience. Through innovation, compliance and strategic funding, SpaceX navigated extreme business, regulatory, and technical risks to lead a reusable spaceflight revolution with Falcon 9. So we provide you 3 risks. First one is business risks, and second one regulatory risks, and the last one is technical risks. And then let's us deep dive beginning from the most important cases for making money, the business risk by Akli.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Quick questions. How many of you guys know about SpaceX? Okay, I believe most of you know about SpaceX. But back in 2010, I believe none of you know about SpaceX. SpaceX is just another big companies that have big ambitions, and also they have really high risk of industries. So, according to PM Book Guide 7 editions, Principle 10, project teams should optimize risk response to maximize value. And we think that SpaceX is the best example of it, because they proactively design funding and innovation strategies to reduce uncertainty and strengthen the long-term positioning. So SpaceX entered a blue ocean market. So what is blue ocean market? Blue ocean market is like a market that have less competitors, but this market is very high risk. This market is very unproven and very expensive. But for example, early Falcon launched lots of failure in missiles, and also they creating major financial pressure with no guaranteed contracts or revenue. So how do they manage the risk? There were 3 main risks that they manage. The first one is they secure a long-term contract with NASA, like CRS, and also Crew Dragon, bringing in cash and also boosting other investors to join the project. The second one is they attracted private funding from Google's and also Fidelity to support Falcon 9 development. And the last one is they introduced Falcon 9 reusability and sustainability, cutting lost costs and enabling frequent scalable missions. As the result, by 2021, their valuation reached 137 billion US dollars. And they've now completed over 270 launches, dominating the medium-lift launch market. So now, from being financially vulnerable in 2010, SpaceX turned financial risk into a long-term competitive advantage. But money is not the only thing they have to manage. The other critical things is regulatory that will covered by my friend Ahmed.
Thanks, Agi. First, let me start with a simple principle in PMP book about dealing with regulators. The PMP book principle effectively engage with stakeholders to manage expectation and ensure compliance in high-risk environments. If SpaceX fails to align with FAA regulation or maintain transparent communication with regulatory stakeholders, then it risks launch delays, penalties, or loss of certification for future missions, leading to damaged credibility, disrupted partnership, and reduced mission continuity. We use this framework based on PMP book and ISO 31000 in risk management. Let's start with situation. In 2023, the FAA identified and authorized changes to SpaceX Falcon 9, violating licensing protocols. This led to a proposed $633,009 penalty in 2024, threatening operations and reputation. The task was very clear in SpaceX because they needed to align all launch operations with FAA regulations, ensure pre-approval for adjustment, and rebuild regulatory confidence while maintaining high launch frequency. They took 4 major actions. First, enhance internal compliance procedure. Then strengthened communication with the FAA for mission reviews. Third, integrated regulatory feedback into mission planning. And the last one, adopted ISO 31000 2018 standard for risk management. The result, completed more than 60 Falcon 9 launches without penalties, reinforced reputation as a compliant, reliable aerospace leader, and the last one, sustained collaboration with NASA and the FAA future missions. Finally, the learning from this case. SpaceX demonstrated that regulatory risk, though external, can be mitigated through proactive compliance, transparency, and alignment with international standards. Now let's continue with my friend Ilham to show you the technical risk.
Okay, for technical risk, maybe it looks like rocket is like a product, but actually every launch is different. So this is when the project management is really important to make sure the rocket get to the space. And we here start with the risk statement itself. So if the it's actually happening in the first stage of the rocket when the engine is not fully understood yet by the SpaceX. So first they try to make a statement. What is the statement? Is here is the if the engine turbopump exhibit inconsistent combustion before because of material fatigue and everything else, then there is risk of engine failure which leads to fail of the launch. This is quite similar with the principle of the known unknown. So they know what is the problem, but they don't know what is the root cause of itself, of the problem itself. So when we put this framework into the problem, they try to first the situation they plan to do the risk management, maybe assigning the clear ownership of the propulsion team, and also they're categorizing what is technical risk and everything else. And then they try to identify the risk by looking at the engine turbopump cause combustion inconsistencies. From this, they understand the task is simple. They need to resolve what is the problem and make sure the rocket get to the space. So the action is first they try to do the qualitative risk analysis. So they see what is the impact, what is the probability, and what is the impact. Probability is more or less is medium. There is a historical result, but it's not happening that much. But the impact is very high because if it's failed, then the rocket will be just blew up. And then for the action, and the next one is they do the quantitative analysis. This is where the tools such Monte Carlo simulation that also been explained in the PM book really helps in the creating a lot of scenarios that can help to resolve the problem. And in the end, they implement the response by trying to do the material improvement, and they also apply the dynamic thrust control to adjust the rocket while it's flying. The result is, as you know, the rocket become the one most reliable rocket up until now. And the risk monitoring is the new thing they can do. And now it's real time. They're using AI and new innovation to keep the risk at bay. And this is the learning when we see that how SpaceX can turn the technically uncertainty into an innovation and helps them become one of the leading company in the space launch. And now for the final one.
Okay, now for the conclusion and recommendations. First, the conclusion. SpaceX turned financial, regulatory, and technical risk into strengths by using smart planning. They followed clear rules, learning from mistakes, and maintains strong communication. Instead of seeing risk as a problem, they use them as opportunity to grow and innovate. Now, the recommendation. First, for business risk, SpaceX should diversify their funding, sourcing, and collaborate with both government and private companies. Second, for regulatory risk, they should follow key standards like ISO 31000 and stay in regular communication with the FAA. Third, for technical risk, they should continue testing and learning quickly to stay strong and lead the space industry.
Okay, thank you, Abdullah. So, thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen. this will wrap up our presentation. Do not forget that uncertainty itself is certain, so we need to have an exceptional effort to manage and handling it. Thank you very much. Let us have a discussion.